Oh, man, that's a better picture. There you go. All right, viewers. That's not, and look,
you can't
even move it.
So how's that going to go up and down your cylinder?
We don't care. It's 115. We got the windows down or the top off, and, you know. So, and how'd all this look? I mean.
Well, you get a new timing set.
Yeah, but I mean,
new. The cam looked fine.
Look, cam was,
and then the rockers, you know, there's stamped steel, so that you can't hardly hurt those things.
Right.
No, the heads on up look fine.
Just whatever. Just. I told you, with the overheating and no head gasket symptoms, no nothing. It was driving. No. It was driving me crazy too. I mean.
No head, nothing. I mean.
It was driving me.
It
was driving me. Yeah, I was trying to figure out. I had a bunch of people picking on me, like, "Oh, it's this, it's that." So I'm like, "Okay, I'm not. I don't know all of the Mopar stuff, but you know, it's not acting."
Your main contributor was someone didn't allow enough oil clearance in the lower end.
Okay.
I don't think they checked their thrust. I don't think they.
I don't know if they knew that they were supposed to.
Yeah, we don't know at this point.
Man.
But you got a lot of heat that went in there. This assembly was balanced. If you look at the bottom of the rods, you can see where they take the weight off. These are balance pads, so they took weight off of this one.
Right.
They match them.
Yeah. So well, same thing like you have on your Bob.
Right. So when I check, when I pull these off, because I'm going to have to resize this one. There's a couple I'm going to have to resize.
Okay.
And then I'll recheck them and make sure they're all the same balance again.
And the, I mean, other than that, the ones that were good, the rings and everything were fine. I mean, it wasn't blowing oil. It wasn't smoking.
It just didn't have a chance.
No.
It's too bad.
Would you say it was 3? 3 was the bad one.
Actually, I think it was 8.
Oh, man, that's a better picture. There you go. All right, viewers. That's not. And look,
you can't even move it. So how's that going to go up and down your cylinder?
Wow.
You know, and then you get one. See? I mean, look at that, Patrick.
Look at that.
And that's the thrust side of the piston.
That's, you know, and that pisses me off because that's something that
didn't need. No,
but it just didn't need to. It just didn't need to happen.
Absolutely not. Nope.
That motor would have been fine.
Yep. There's one that was really bad.
Yeah,
that's probably this one.
Oh, yeah, that's all the way.
Dang. And again, it's locked up.
It's locked up. Yep, and that would have been this.
Squeaking.
That would have been the squeak.
Yep.
And then the last one, yeah, a little bit. Oh, yep, right there. Man.
So you weren't too far off on what you thought. You know.
That's what I thought, but I mean, until there was a problem, I wouldn't have brought it in.
How long have you owned this?
A year.
A year?
Yeah, it was almost the anniversary. Almost the anniversary.
How many miles have you put on it?
Not much. It's just been cars and coffee and stuff like that. It hasn't gone anywhere far. It goes, you know, from our house down to like Eastern and back. Just a couple things.
Squeaking
you know?
all the way?
No, the squeak was only, we were going to that Speedway event. Other than that, I was fighting heat problems. The car was running fine, keeping the oil, checking the oil. You know, everything looked good. No smells, no steam, no nothing. I put that fan clutch on. I did all that stuff, trying to keep the temperature down. It was acting okay, and then we were going to that. It was 90. It was only like 90 degrees. 7 o'clock at night, heading down to the Speedway, going to that Speedway Charities adventure to go do the laps for charity, and that's when it started heating up. And as I said before, turned the heater on, trying to cool it down. Something still didn't sound right. Pulled it off, and then the minute we pulled off the side of the road, it just shut off on its own. And then after I let it cool down, and that was funny, I let it cool down. I had like 2 gallons of like antifreeze and water in the trunk. Filled the radiator back up, started up, was idling fine, gave it a little bit of gas.
But it lost coolant?
Well, it was hot, and then it blew the. I had that little puke tank hose, and it wasn't tied down. It wasn't cranked down, so that popped off and sprayed antifreeze everywhere. But once it cooled down, it fired right up. It was idling okay. It didn't sound like anything was wrong, and I just said, okay, well, let's try to just drive it back home nice and calmly, get it back in the garage, and then we'll tear into the motor. And minute I went down the street, turned around, started to go up the ramp to get onto the freeway and put a little bit of load on it. Again, that's where I heard just a slight thumping sound, but then immediately it was like thump, 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 and then squeak, 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 and I shut it off. Probably right about the same time it was shutting off anyway. Yeah, but I heard the squeak, 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 and went, that's not good. And then, I expected this, the nuggets. I have that, like I said, when I drained the oil, it was the oil wasn't too bad initially. When I put a Q-tip in, and tried to pick up some of this material, the little sparkly stuff. It was bad. And then when I pulled the filter off, when I drained the filter, it was nice and glittery. It had a nice gold glitter to it. And then once I cut it open, especially by the top orange rubber seal part, I struck nuggets, and it was all gold. So I knew it was bearing material, and I had a feeling probably one spun and was stuck up on top of the other one, and that's when you get that squeak, squeak, squeak. But otherwise, I'm happy to see that most everything else looks good. And again, I can put magnets on everything.
Yep. So where we go with this stage now, Patrick, just so you know, I'm going to pull the cam bearings out of the block. I'm going to take the brass freeze plugs out.
Yep.
All the oil galley plugs.
Yep.
Any plug in the block, and it's going to sit in the tank.
Yep. And you're going to soak, get the oil off of it, and then
then I put it in the oven.
Then you go hit it in the oven. Yep. Bake it.
And then after I bake it, I tumble it. Okay?
Yep. Like we had it in the back.
Yep. And then I'll take it up front, and then we'll start doing our measuring. Plate it. I'm going to redo the main alignment. Make sure the main alignment's within the tolerance. Make sure the cylinders are within the tolerance.
And I know you can't really tell if they decked it, or where it's at.
Won't know that until I put a piston.
Right.
And get another crank. We're gonna have to find another crank for sure, because that one is not savable. And then I will get all these parts cleaned up, labeled. I don't foresee any other issues, nothing that we haven't already covered. Unless I disassemble the head and the valves are too thin. I'll know that.
But then that's just
normal wear and tear.
Anything that you can still buy is not a problem.
No, it's not a problem. So
just like a friend that I had that he went to the doctor and he got all this bad news and stuff, and he was like, will you stop? Just tell me, is it something that money can fix? And he went, well, yeah, you just need an operation. He was like,
well, then that's good.
Well, then there's not a problem.
So, yeah.
Oh, so you're saying that's bad?
That's not likable.
Well, what's in there is worse.
Yeah, that's even worse.
Well, see, and this is the problem where I couldn't get my finger past that. Well, you can see.
You can still see sparklies.
It's still sparkly. Look at it. Right there. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Well, see, the bad part is when you do that, you're like, well, I don't see anything, but I feel it.
Look at the copper up at the top of the pan there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
all right,
there you be.
It's bad, but not as. All right, well, I will wait.
So Tyler, on Monday we'll start getting all this stuff cleaned up. Okay.
All right. You don't want me coming on the weekend?
No.
Well, as per usual, greatly appreciate it, and as always, what can you do? You didn't do it.
No.
and I didn't do it.
We hate being
and I didn't do it. Right. But that's what gets me online and people is like, oh, Scott called me and told me my engine's bad.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, I hate him. Well, why? it's not you. And while you were doing other stuff, what we were talking about is like, this is the stuff that pisses me off. Like you said, if you look at the rest of the motor, it's good. And then somebody went and spent the time and the effort to machine it and do a piss poor job.
Yeah.
And otherwise, this engine would have been fine. It should have never had another problem for another 50, 60, 70,000 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no
That
reason
is
why
so
it should have.
frustrating.
There's no reason why.
And I told you originally I was a little concerned, like with all that stupid crap on, like the intake and the carbs.
Right.
It was like, what did they do with the fuels, the lower and the upper, and those little fuel flares and everything? It's like, what did they? It's like they wanted.
It'll be done right now. So
They wanted to put the 6-pack back on it, but you know.
So anyway, that's it.
All right. Well,
right.
I appreciate the information. I appreciate the update. There's a bunch of
You're
people that
welcome.
want to know what the update is.
There you go.
That's good. You know, good and bad. I don't necessarily think it's bad. I mean, plus,
But wait
it is
till you
what
see
it
the
is.
difference from this
It
here,
is what
Patrick.
it is.
You have pictures now. Wait till you see when it goes back in.
Oh yeah. I know.
Oh my God.
Well, and I told you I have
Night and day.
brand new 6-pack. I've got all those correct wires. I got the hangers. I've got a brand new radiator.
this slant
I've got the
six
I've got the radiator. All right, let me get the little end screen here. That's Scott and St. Power. Again, good news, bad news. Nothing to do with them. Everything to do with these friggin' people. I mean, I wish I knew who did the work before, because, man, like I said, really frustrating. That's a perfectly good engine, you know, that now is not, but it will be. Just stay tuned.